La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Egotastic fun time. We're gonna have a great time. Egotastic fun time. Give me all your money. Give me all your money. You will find me funny. Just give me money. I love money. What's going on, everybody? I assume I am streaming. Welcome to Talking to Orville and Egotastic Fun Time. What is going on, everyone? Special shout out to official channel member Kevin Scott 76, who always stops by before a live show to say, hey, I'm teaching, but I'll be there in spirit. So Kevin Scott, thank you for being here in spirit. What's going on? Sci-Fi Mombi, Archmage Frey, Brian Dawkins, and JRC99 us, and all of you who are filing in right now. I see it right here on my stream info analytics, I guess we call them in the YouTube world. Hello, YouTube. We are here to celebrate each other because we are all Orvillians. We are here to talk about the Orville. It's a little bit of Orville news going on and a little bit of Orville sideways news. We'll get to what that means here in a second. How are you guys doing today? This brand new week-ish. I mean, it's been this week for a couple days now, but hey, it's still the beginning part of the week and not the ending part of the week. So I hope you guys are having a great time. Official channel member Cy Winship, how is it going, Cy? Hope all is well over on your part of the world. So I've been talking about this for a few weeks now, a couple weeks. It looks like we're getting more Orville. A lot of people have given up because you know how the internet is. A lot of people are on the internet. Either they have a social media account, they have a YouTube channel, they do blogs or vlogs as well, but usually that's on YouTube nowadays as well. People just talking about stuff, making assumptions, and then talking about things as if those assumptions are true. That's mostly what the internet is. We have to acknowledge this, that most stuff on the internet is just people talking that don't really know what they're talking about, but they got an opinion, damn it. Even on this channel. Don't consider me innocent of this, even though I try to be innocent of that as often as I can. But just to be fair, just lump me in with all the other wackos on the internet, which is all of us. We're all on the internet right now, right? But I've been talking this for the last couple of weeks that it really looks like we're getting more Orville. There has been no announcement, official announcement as of yet. So this is not official news. So this you can lump me in with all those channels saying, hey, I have a source. I have a source that says a certain thing. Take this with a grain of salt. How many times have you heard that crap on the internet? Take this with a grain of salt. But my source has been right on a lot of other things before, and they usually aren't right on anything. But anyway, my source is a pretty good source. And that source is also online, keeping people in line who have gone off into the, oh, I want more Orville, that's never going to happen. But it seems like it is going to happen because the producer of the Orville, Tom, a lot of you know who I'm talking about, is out there schooling everybody who's having a bad day and thinking there's not going to be the Orville anymore. And they go online and say, there's not going to be the Orville anymore. I know this because I've made some assumptions. And he's like, no, it's not over. We're just waiting for the strikes to end. Just recently, someone went on Instagram. Let me go ahead and press some buttons here. This was posted by a friend of the show, Landis. This is from Instagram. Somebody went on Instagram and was like, oh, the Orville is so great. There was so much room for opportunity and a lot more stories. But I guess whoever's in charge didn't feel like continuing the show. The fans are abandoned. And now the Orville is something like a cult thing with a solid base of abandoned fans. But the producer, Tom, you know what I'm talking about. He responds, not abandoned. The strikes have to end first. And I've had conversations with the crew of the show, and they're like, the strikes have to end first, but we got some news. But they can't. It's all struck work. Anything that's going to be made, anything that's got future seasons ahead of it, is struck work. And so you can't talk about it. They're not allowed to talk about stuff, but apparently there's going to be some good news coming out once these strikes end. And we'll be talking about the strikes as well, because we don't know when these strikes are ending. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the Orville really seems, without official word. Now remember, when Seth says it, when Tom says it, when any of the crew says it, it will be official news. And all of them, including Seth, are saying we gotta wait until after the Hollywood strikes are over. The Writers Guild strike, which has been going on for 3 months now, and then the actors strike, which started about a month ago, 30 days ago or so. Not that it even matters, because with the writers on strike, nothing could be made anyway, with or without the actors. But the actors are on strike. So we're waiting for all of that. Brian Dawkins is asking, did you hear the Hulu news? I don't know. What is the Hulu news? You tell me, and then I'll tell you. Hey, Cat Lover. Cat Lover says, hi, what is the Orville news? The Orville news is, it's unofficial, but it really looks like we're going to be getting some more Orville. We don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what that means. If it's a full season, whatever that means nowadays for any TV show, thanks to streaming. That's another reason we're on strike. The Writers Guild and the actors are on strike because of these short seasons from streaming, among a bunch of other stuff, because of streaming and not getting paid. But all these shows are just like 8-10 episodes. Most shows don't take that long to film. You get an 8-episode thing, you got a couple months of work, and then you're out of work most of the year. Now you get a show like the Orville. It takes a long time to make 10 episodes of the Orville. It takes almost a full year of filming to make 10 episodes. So that production, if they get 10 episodes, that's a whole year of work. So that's great for them. But nothing's working right now. Hollywood is completely shut down, except for just a couple of little things that might have different oh gosh, what's the damn word? Contracts, which is few and far between. A little bit of reality TV, and even reality TV is not doing so well right now as far as production goes. All of us assumed that that because of the actors being on strike and the writers being on strike, that reality TV is going to be taking over. But what's been going on with these production companies is they're being super stingy about everything right now. So they're not even giving money to the reality shows to make a bunch of reality shows to overcome all the shows that they're not making right now. We still got a lot of shows coming out because they were already filmed. But once we run out of those, we're not going to have a lot of shows for half a year, I'm guessing, unless it's non-scripted type stuff, you guys. And that's only after the strikes end, if they ever end. It's tough because they're like, hey, give us the money that the actors and writers are like, hey, give us the money for the work that we're doing. And the studios are like, but we want to give it to our studio execs instead because they're so important. Well, they're not important if you're not getting any TV shows on television or streaming, as we also say. Let's see. Did we get the what is that Hulu news? Is it in the chat somewhere? Christopher Hastings, it really does seem like there's going to be more Orville. I just don't know if that means a season, a full season, a super short season, a movie, a couple movies. I don't know what it means. I'm assuming it means a season. I'm assuming it means 10 episodes coming out at some point. They are poor. Actually, it turns out, Paul Flint. Why the strikes? They're not poor. No, they are poor. Most of the actors that you see, except for the handful, don't make very much money. And all these shows are very short-lived shows now. Most seasons on the streaming is 8 to 10 episodes. So they're not getting a lot of work to fill up the entire year calendar. So actors are getting work for a couple months, and then they're on their own for most of the year. So Yeah, they are poor. It's the studio execs that are taking all the money. The studio execs are getting 50 million and then some bonuses every year on top of their pay, which I'm sure is pretty good as well. The less famous often are poor, and even household names. There are household names that they're not making that much money actually. They're making good money for the work they're doing at the time, but all the other stuff they used to get, residuals and stuff like that, breaks. They used to get more breaks. They used to be able to go to the bathroom. None of that stuff was streaming, because streaming is a whole new game, even though it's been around, 10, 15 years at this point. Uh, Streaming, all the contracts that actors have been working under were from decades ago, before streaming ever existed, when TV shows and stuff were on primetime, were on cable, and then streaming came along, and they don't have to abide by all the rules that were under the contracts. And the streaming's like, oh, we don't have enough money. Well, then why are you giving your studio execs huge bonuses every year instead of giving just 2%? If they all took a 2% pay cut, it would pay for everything the actors and the writers are asking for. But they have to be willing to lose 2% of their overblown checks that they get of that money. It's all about that money. You know how studio execs are. We've known our whole lives. They're not in it to create art. They're in it to make some money, sell some commercials, get them Tide Pods sold. And look what happened when they did sell Tide Pods. People started eating them. Crazy. Really no signs of progress on the strikes yet, but I do have a story I'm going to share with you guys here, the latest on the strikes. It's not looking good. It's looking like they're going to be coming to the table. Everyone's going to be coming to the table at some point. They both seem to be willing to come to the table, but it really has got to be the studio saying, okay, we're gonna give you guys some of the stuff you're asking for. Right now, they're coming to the table and kind of just being rude and saying, yeah, we'll just make digital versions of all of you and use it for free. Ha ha ha. And then we laugh, but that's actually doable nowadays. Christopher Hastings believes there will be more Orville. I pronounced that wrong. I said that wrong. He wrote, there will be more Orville. I have faith of the heart, faith of the Orville. Just want more Orville. I get it. And I'm the same way. I'm that way more than most people. As I've been working on the internet for the last 8 years, doing this whole YouTube thing and creating thing, and it's a lot of dealing with the internet that I have to do on a daily basis. And more, I'm becoming less and less interested in a lot of the entertainment out there, except for the Orville and some random things. I just started getting caught up on the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows. Loving it so far. I love stuff like that. I love the Orville. I'm watching Star Trek. I've been enjoying it enough, but I don't need it. It's had its day. It's had its time. It's had its decades. I want 50 years of the Orville. But yeah, I'm just getting older, and I'm getting to that age where I'm like, you know what? Passive entertainment isn't doing it as much for me as it used to. But also, a lot of shows aren't the Orville. The Orville's a very special show. Yes, this really seems like, according to production, without making any official news, because and they keep saying this, like, we can't say anything. We can't say anything because of the strikes right now. And that's every production is not saying anything about any production because everything is struck work. People are saying that What's Her Nuts Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, was saying, oh, yeah, we're working on Wonder Woman with James Gunn, blah, blah, blah. She says, no, she didn't say that. She said, we're supposed to figure it out at some point. That's basically what she said. And so everyone's taking that, oh, they're making the new Wonder Woman. They're not doing anything right now. They're not making a Wonder Woman right now. They're not thinking about it because they're not allowed to. But once they're allowed to, then they probably will start, and we'll see how that goes. But it's not that it's being made. It was talked about, hey, maybe we should do this. That goes back again to be careful of everything you read on the internet. especially in entertainment, because there's no rules. Things don't have to be true for people to write stories on it. So you got to be very careful with every single thing that has to do with entertainment that's on the internet. Yeah, it should be about the art, but I get it. It's got to be a business because these things take money. The Orville is not cheap. The Orville is not cheap at all. It's a very, very expensive show. And so, a lot of getting more had to do with figuring out the money because you can't go back. They did such a good job with season 3. You can't go backwards. I would think you have to at least keep that budget about the same. I mean, luckily, a lot of the work was done in season 3. They put a lot of work into the technical side of stuff, designing the ships and getting the effects just so. So they're probably going to save money just on that in a 4th season because so much of the work was done in season 3. All that computer stuff, you guys. Yeah, 26 episode seasons on TNG. That's a lot of the big complaints with the strikes right now is actors used to get 26 episodes to work on. Now they're getting 8 episodes to work on. Heck, what did I watch the other day? I only had 6 episodes. Brand new season of something. I can't remember what it was, but it only had like 6 episodes. We're getting a lot of this. I actually like this because there's just too many things. So I like it when a show comes out and is a limited series. I'm starting to like these limited series because I can finish a story and know I never have to worry about it again. And they don't want me to have to worry about it again. They just wanted to tell a story. So I'm kind of liking the limited series because those are usually just people that wanted to tell a story. They're not trying to make buku bucks, but sometimes they do. Well, at least the studio execs do. Meanwhile, the fall lineup is starting to be filled in with British TV shows and formerly streaming only programs. Yeah, now wouldn't that be interesting? And I don't see why not. And all these streaming services are trying to make money. I've been seeing a lot of HBO original series landing on Netflix. So HBO has been selling their original content to Netflix so they can make some money. And then I'm sure the license will run out and their shows will disappear off Netflix after the run is done. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of streaming shows end up not only on other streaming services, but showing up on TV like TBS or something like that. Disney Plus, who owns Hulu, they are now showing the first 3 episodes of Secret Invasion, the Marvel show. First 3 episodes are also now available on Hulu. I'm guessing the plan is, get people really wanting to watch Secret Invasion. They watch the first 3 episodes, like, but I want to finish it. So let's subscribe to Disney Plus. You know how that stuff goes. Star Trek is everywhere. Star Trek is on a bunch of different streaming services, not just on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus, I think, has the TV shows, but you can find a lot of Star Trek movies all over the place. But what if the Orville New Horizons starts showing up on maybe Fox? I mean, I guess maybe they would do it on Fox, but maybe a cable channel. Does Fox own TBS? Maybe they do. Because, of course, Disney owns Hulu and also owns Fox. So I can see them, and the Orville started on Fox originally, the first 2 seasons. So maybe they'll do some of the reruns. Maybe they'll have some reruns of the Orville. That would be great. Don't know if that's going to happen. But anything that gets more Orville in front of eyeballs is good for us. Yeah, Marvel's Secret Invasion was 6 episodes. I tried watching the first episode and I was so bored by it. Of course, that's just me. A lot of people love that Marvel stuff. I love certain Marvel stuff. Anything that's tied into every freaking franchise in Marvel, I'm like, that's too much to follow, so I get really bored with it. But I understand some people have followed everything, they're really into it. But yeah, just 6 episodes. Basically just a long movie. But you don't have to be sad. When it comes to something like Marvel's Secret Invasion only being 6 episodes, you're not missing out on any story because pieces of that story will be going into all the other Marvel products at some point. All the other Marvel TV shows coming out. I bet you some of that Secret Invasion will be mentioned in Loki season 2. In whatever movies are coming out, the Marvels. It's just they have crossed the streams when it comes to Marvel. Everything is crossed. I like it being crossed a little bit, but it is the wires are so crossed, the streams are so crossed, that is just too much for me to follow. Yeah, I know people are loving it. Secret Invasion. I think my problem is the Secret Invasion was following. I mean, it's a really good story, but it's following certain parts of Marvel that I never really cared about. I never really cared about Fury. What's his character? The Hobbit. I can't remember his name, even though I know it. Something Goodman, maybe. I never cared about his character. There's a lot of characters that I never cared about, so I'm going down a bunch of streams that I'm like, I'd rather see what's up with Thor or the Hulk or something like that. Though, was the Hulk in it, or was it even really the Hulk? I'm really wanting to see, and it's available now on Disney Plus, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But I'm waiting, and actually I need to watch that in the next 2 days because my Disney Plus subscription expires in 2 days, and I'm not re-upping it because I re-upped Hulu, and I got the commercial package, the ones with the commercials, so it was only like $7.99 or something like that. Way cheaper with the commercials, you guys. I have to go back to commercials now to save money. What's up, Archmage? New Horizons is a bit difficult because of the varying episode lengths. Now, will that even be the case in a new season of the Orville? Maybe they'll be like, okay, we're going to have to do 52-minute, 60-minute episodes and not go over the 60-minute mark as often as they did. Well, they did it every episode in season 3. But some of the episodes were 61, minutes, 65-ish. Maybe they'll be like, okay, we're going to stick to 52 minutes. I mean, that would save money right there, and we would still get a season. You may watch the first 3 episodes of Secret Invasion and chew your arm off. Possibly. I would have to get in the mood. Martin Freeman. There you go. I knew there was a man in there. Martin Freeman. I love Martin Freeman. Why did I forget his name? Anyway. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is great, especially if you like Rocket. I do. I like all of them. I like all the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm looking forward to it. But I really need to be alone. I live with people where if I watch a movie for the first time and I haven't seen it, I'm only going to hear half of it because people are going to be talking through the whole thing. So I got to watch it on my own and then watch it with everyone else. Because that's one of those movies I care about what's going on, and I care about all the jokes and stuff and all the lines of dialogue that give you all the context of everything. So I'm going to have to watch that one on my own. Dark Helmet. I don't get how people like Secret Invasion, but hey, like what you like. That's what I say. I got super bored. I watched the first 15 minutes. Usually the first 15 minutes isn't the best time frame of a series to make any judgments. So I didn't make any judgments. I'm like, I'm just not feeling this right now. I'll give it another try some other day. Yeah, I get it. Not everything appeals to everybody. Even the Orville doesn't appeal to everybody. Some people are like, oh, it's too funny, blah, blah, blah. And some people are like, oh, it's too serious, blah, blah. I'm like, well, which is it? Doesn't matter. You're not feeling it. You're not feeling it. Give it another try some other time. Blue Beetle. I saw the trailer for Blue Beetle, and it does look fun and interesting. It looks good. I just don't care. I don't care about it at all. But that's just because I never cared about Blue Beetle. I used to have, I still do, somewhere around here. Infamous 2, the fighting game, the Marvel. No, that's DC fighting game. No, where did I get Blue Beetle from? Blue Beetle, DC, or Marvel? I want to say I could have swore Blue Beetle was in that Infamous game, but that's DC. Maybe it is DC. I don't know. Marvel or Blue Beetle, I never cared about because I'm like, who is this chump? I don't know this person. I didn't grow up with this person, this character, but the trailer looked good. Roberta Laverty talking to Dark Helmet. To be honest, I would have preferred it to have been a film. I'm assuming we're talking about Secret Invasion, but worked well as a series too. Yeah, I like series, and sometimes I'm not in the mood to watch a series, even a short series, 6 episodes. I'm like, oh god, is that gonna be 6 hours? I only got time to watch a movie. Sometimes I want to watch a movie. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a series. By the way, Mark May says Guardians of the Galaxy is really good. By the way, new Babylon 5 movie in 1 week. Is that the animated movie? Didn't that come out already? Maybe I just saw a trailer for it. I could have swore people were acting like it was out. Maybe they were just talking about pre-ordering stuff. I saw the trailer for that. That looks really good. Usually animated features don't appeal to me often. Sometimes they do. But it looked really good, the Babylon 5 one. DC, okay. So I assume James Gunn had something to do with the Blue Beetle movie? Or has his stuff even started yet? Injustice. What did I say? Injustice? Can't remember what I said. Injustice and Blue Beetle is DC. Injustice. Yeah, I never played the character. I'm like, I don't care about this character. I'm gonna play Batman. Actually, I played Wonder Woman a lot. And The Flash. I played The Flash a lot. Blue Beetle is DC. All right. I just watched the first episode, Brian Dawkins, of the new season of Futurama. There's a bunch of episodes out right now. I watched the first one, thought it was great. I was not allowed to keep watching more episodes, so I'm gonna have to, at that time. So I'm gonna have to go when I'm watching TV on my own and watch some more episodes of Futurama. Like I said, I just started What We Do in the Shadows. I just finished season 2 of This Fool. I love that show. This Fool. It's not for everybody, but it very much reminds me of growing up, of where I grew up. So I get it. I really enjoy that show. Very adult. Blue Beetle is the last thing made before James Gunn came on board. I can't wait to see all the stuff James Gunn does with DC. I love James Gunn stuff. I love, of course, he does for Marvel. He does Guardians of the Galaxy. He did the Suicide Squad, which is DC. Loved that one. I'm starting to get to the point where I like stuff getting a little weird. So since the Thor movies started getting a little weird, the last couple of them, I've really started enjoying the Thor movies. Guardians of the Galaxy is a little bit weird, a little bit off. I guess I've seen all the normal stuff that I care to see in my life. I like things to go off the rails just a little bit. And James Gunn does that for me. Aquaman 2. I liked that first Aquaman movie. It was okay. I didn't really super care about it or think about it much, but I enjoyed it while I was watching it. For the most part. I don't like the underwater people. They got weird hair. But hey, what you gonna do? Aquaman looks cool. Jason Momoa. Don Ranger Power. What's going on? Egotastic FunTime. Hello, JP, and all. Hope everyone is well on this 8th day of Power Rangers month. Also, speaking of days, I think this is the 7th day in a row that the Orville is back up to number 8 on Hulu. The Orville's been in the top 10 on Hulu of all their 78 shows. I guess they're talking about 78 original shows because there's a lot more on there than that. Of Hulu's 78 shows, the Orville has been in the top 10 solid for a year. It usually never gets all the way up to 10. I think it did once or twice. It's usually way up there in around 5 to number 2 to number 5. And then the last second half of the year, it's been around 5 to 8. Right now, it's number oh gosh, what did I say? 7 or 8? I think it's number 8 right now. Maybe we'll get it back to number 7. I'm not worried about it. The Orville has been season 3 of the Orville finished 1 year and 4 or 5 days ago. And it's been in the top 10 ever since, nonstop. It's never dropped out of that. So the Orville's doing well. It looks like we're getting some good news about the Orville after the strike. I'm going to read you a story about the strike. And we're going to also talk about the Orville cast. But going over to the strike, this is from Vanity Fair. Talking about, because last week on Friday, I think it was, there was a meeting between, I think it was the Writers Guild and the and Hollywood. I'm just going to call it Hollywood, the studio execs, the money people. So a hotly anticipated meeting Friday between the Writers Guild of America and negotiators, couldn't even show up themselves, negotiators for Hollywood's biggest studios ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. Oh, man. It appears as both sides confirm that the 3-month-long standoff between screenwriters and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers is set to continue, as will the strike that's left the entertainment industry at a standstill. There's no entertainment happening right now. Very little stuff, crappy things. Little crappy things are allowed to happen a little bit. And there's a lot of crappy things that aren't allowed to happen right now. And anything good is not allowed to happen right now. So no good things are happening. At Friday's meeting, the first between the Writers Guild and the Hollywood studio execs, since contract negotiations stalled in May, had been greeted with high hopes when it was announced earlier this week. The New York Times reported that conditions for an end to the writers' strike seemed promising, as a back-channel meeting last week between a handful of executives and the 3 members of the Guild's negotiating committee led execs to believe that there could be a path to a deal. Don't believe it, you guys. Things are never this easy in the world of money. I don't belong to that world. I barely even know what money is. I've seen it a few times in my life, but just, little handfuls here and there. Give me all your money. Following that shadowy meeting, the Hollywood Producers President, Carol Lombardini, reached out to the Writers Guild leaders to schedule Friday's official confab. Confab? But even as that news broke, the WGA remained cautious. Always be cautious, union members. They're not there to do right by you. In a message to members Thursday, the WGA's negotiating committee said that we won't prejudge what's to come, but playbooks die hard. Little Writers Guild joke there. So far, the companies have wasted months on their same failed strategy. They have attempted time and time again through anonymous quotes in the media to use scare tactics, rumors, and lies to weaken our resolve. Remember, when one of the execs said, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, that they're just trying to wait out everything until these writers start losing their apartments and their homes and become desperate to make a deal. We still haven't even got to that point yet, and that was even before the actors' strike started, you guys. But Variety reports that the 2 sides met Friday for about an hour. Just an hour, you guys. But that after the WGA stood firm on its expectations regarding minimum staffing levels in episodic TV and a guaranteed minimum number of weeks of employment. See, that's talking about the fact that these shows are so short, 6, 8, 10 episodes. And the writers, not even to mention the actors, which is a whole other strike. The writers are like, we're hardly getting any work for these shows, and you can't just jump around from show to show. Other shows have their own writers, so they're not getting. They're only getting a couple months of work at all to write these things. So they're wanting to be a guaranteed minimum number of weeks of employment. So does that mean that it's possible either they might keep some writers on, during the filming as well? Or does this mean that we might start getting more episodes of these shows? No more 10 episode type shows if they're not getting enough work. I mean, the Orville should be fine with that because 10 episodes, that's a year of filming for them because the show's so big and complicated. But other shows, a little comedy here and there, which, most shows are pretty simple. You're not getting much work if you're a writer. But according to the Hollywood Reporter, the Writers Guild says that while the Hollywood Producers is willing to increase their offer on a few writer-specific TV minimums and is willing to talk about AI, what? Because AI is a problem too, because you can have AI write an episode of something. I mean, it's probably going to suck and you have to go in and make some changes, but that's a lot less work than having to write the whole thing, right? And they did not indicate willingness to discuss other issues that have been at stake, including success-based residual payments and other points. That's right. When some of these shows become super big, popular, and they start making more and more money, they're not giving that money to the people that did all the work, you guys. They're just giving it to the execs. Good job, execs. You really sat at that desk really well. You look really cool at your desk. Despite the lack of movement, LA Mayor Karen Bass, who issued a statement Friday offering to personally engage. So Karen, the mayor of LA, is saying, hey, let me negotiate. Let me be like your Jean-Luc Picard and help you guys negotiate this meeting. Picard had to do that all the time, right? Picard was always being sent to meetings that had nothing to do with him. This planet of people are all and so he had to come in and get their memos to echo each other, and they could all be on the same page. But she wants to help them negotiate to bring an end to the strike because the whole city's not making money right now. No one's working, right? She described the news coming out of the meeting as an encouraging development. That sounds like corporate talk to me. It is critical that this gets resolved immediately so that Los Angeles gets back on track. Yeah, the entire city is out. I mean, so many people there. Most people that are even moving there are there to get work in Hollywood, right? An unnamed studio side source who spoke with the Hollywood Reporter says that though little progress was made during the meeting, they believe the door has been opened to further conversations. I anticipate we'll be back at the table in a week. That's just any time now, you guys. But we're not there yet on either side, they said. So they're not there yet. They're kind of trying to be like, they might be okay. Things might be okay. They don't want to say things are crap, which is what they are. But even if the two sides did reach an agreement at the next still speculative meeting, get this, you guys, that doesn't mean that Hollywood productions would immediately resume. And they're going to tell us why here in just a second. So even if the writer's strike is over, that doesn't mean people are going back to work. Why? Why are they not going back to work? Well, we're going to find out why. After all, the concurrent SAG-AFTRA strike, the actors' strike that's going on right now, which kicked off last month, means that actors also have stopped working, and conversations between those groups have also stalled. We have not heard from the Hollywood execs since July 12th, when they told us they would not be willing to continue talks for quite some time. Someone said, not only does the ongoing actors' strike means that the work in front of the camera isn't happening, but as an act of union solidarity, writers will not cross the SAG-AFTRA picket line to return to work, even if a deal is reached. That means that until both the writers' strike and the actors' strike come to agreements with the Hollywood executive money people, Hollywood will remain closed for business. So even if the writers strike a deal, they are still not going back to work until the actors strike a deal, which makes sense because, you can write something, you can't film it without actors. So it makes sense, but they have union solidarity, you guys. So that means until the writers strike and the actor strike is settled, don't expect to hear anything from the Orville. But because the Orville production keeps showing up online saying, "Hey, we're just waiting until after the strike, after the strikes, plural, before we give out the news," because there is some news coming out from the Orville, but they're waiting until we get both strikes. Nothing, but I would expect as soon as both strikes are resolved, we should be getting some news probably close to immediately, you guys. But when's that going to be? Is that going to be months from now? I don't think these strikes can just, I don't think Hollywood's ready to make deals on two fronts anytime soon. It's going to have to be worked out. It's going to have paperwork. It's going to have everybody agreeing to everything. These negotiations isn't a one-time thing. The negotiations are going to be going on and on and on. Hopefully, maybe things will be resolved by November, but it's gonna be a while. I think this is a big freaking deal. If you like entertainment, if you like passive entertainment on your movie screens and on your TV screens and on your phone screens and on your pad screens, and on your VR screens, there's a lot of screens out there, you guys. Start watching reruns of stuff. Hey, I know, watch the Orville again. Because that's all that you were going to have for a while, except for stuff coming from, like someone said, from the UK, maybe some other countries. I know there's a lot of stuff coming from other countries on Netflix. I can hardly find anything in actual English on Netflix anymore. Everything's overdubbed. Everything's subtitled. I don't know if there's a way to go into the settings and get rid of that. I've looked, but I've started many shows on Netflix where I'm like, hey, this isn't in a language I understand. Hey, why am I reading stuff on the screen? Hey, the words that they're speaking don't match the movement of their lips. Something is amiss on Netflix. Yeah, you heard me, Netflix. I'm not trying to say it in a bigoted way. I'm just saying it in a, I only understand one type of language way, and I like art where I can hear the tone of the actual voice of the actors, as opposed to like an animation voiceover over live action. Yeah, Jaloja on the studios, you guys. That's what I say. Jaloja on each and every one of them. Jaloja! Kroom says, what is New Horizons? New Horizons, talking to Kroom, says Paul, is the Orville Season 3. The Orville Season 3 is called The Orville New Horizons. Disney convinced Seth to come up with that subtitle so that they can do a little bit more stuff. Because, you can do some spin-offs. If you have New Horizons, because, say they do a spin-off of the Orville, you can't call it the Orville. It's going to be a different ship, a different situation going on. You can't call Deep Space Nine Enterprise Deep Space Nine, the Next Generation Deep Space Nine. No, they had Star Trek. They had Star Trek. The Orville's basically New Horizons. New Horizons, the Orville. New Horizons, the Redenbacher. New Horizons, Gordon Malloy's awesome. You can do so many things with it now. Maybe after December. There you go, Brian Dawkins. We don't know. I mean, I think eventually the studio execs will cave because they got a pretty good deal. They're making money, and doing hardly anything. All the other people make the shows. They're just like, here's some money. Oh, give me a bunch of money back. As simple as that. Eric Pullman, thank you so much. Appreciate that super chat. We must return to the dance. There's so much money in Hollywood. Why can't the writers and actors set up an Actors and Writers Without Borders studio power? I would love to have some sort of something, right? Something that Hollywood, these shows, these creative people can still make things. Like but you can't do it because you need the studio's money, right? I was like, well, what if all these TV shows just came out with their own YouTube channels? That would work. What if Secret Invasion had a YouTube channel? and the entire show was on that YouTube channel instead of on Disney Plus. But there's so much legal stuff going on. I mean, there's probably every one of these shows has in their contract that they can't do that because the show is owned by the studio. They need the studio's permission. But wouldn't it be great? Just like a lot of stand-up comedians started just putting out their own content on their websites or on YouTube, or you can go on their website and pay, and you get their latest stand-up video, right? I wish these shows could do that, but there's probably so much going on in the contracts, stuff that we would never understand because it's all lawyer talk, super lawyer talk. I mean, you got lawyer talk, and then you got super lawyer talk, which is way up there. I mean, they probably speak in numbers. I don't know, or just pure Latin. But wouldn't that be great? Now there is the I don't remember the exact name, but Seth MacFarlane last week donated $1 million to the Hollywood Actors Fund or something like that. Some people have been donating to that so that the unions can divvy up money to the people, to the workers. But it didn't raise nearly enough as of yet that I would want them. They had like what, $6, $7, $8 million. I'm like, they should have $30 million donated at this point. But yeah, actors are starting to, the bigger actors are starting to donate some bigger numbers. So hopefully that's rising and rising and rising as time goes on. Right now, we're not noticing, as far as consumers of entertainment go, we're not noticing much is amiss at this point, except for all chat shows have been gone for 3 months at this point. All chat shows, there hasn't been a new episode of a chat show like in 3 months, at least not the ones that I watch. And eventually it's going to be the regular shows. The newest season of, I don't know what's on TV these days, but the new season of, I don't know, The Rookie or what. I think they already have a new season out. But they're not going to be there. All the shows that you're expecting to watch next season is not going to be there. And you're going to have to find some new things to watch, you guys. Clyden is back, and he worked. And he worked it, you guys. Clyden works. He wasn't working for a while. Also, did he ever find anything to, any way to contribute to the Orville? Even, he's been living on the Orville for, I don't know, a couple of years before that whole situation. But he was living on the Orville for a couple of years. Did he ever find a way to contribute to the Orville? Did he make really good Rocky Road ice cream or something? I don't know. But I would figure everyone on the ship must have some sort of thing they contribute. I mean, that's kind of the whole deal with the Union in their utopian society. You just got to contribute in some way. I don't know what the hell Clyden did. I hope he did something. I like Clyden. I've always liked Clyden. Even when we hated Clyden, I still like Clyden. But just recently, the other day, the Orville was at the Orville cast. Adrian Palicki, Scott Grimes, Jay Lee, Penny Johnson-Gerald, Mark Jackson, Peter Macon. They were all at the Star Trek 57-year mission. They had a panel. The Orville was invited to have a panel at the Star Trek convention in Vegas just the other day. So the entire bridge crew was there, except for Seth. Seth's the superstar. He doesn't have to go. But the rest of the crew was there in front of the audience, having a great time, answering questions at Star Trek convention. The Las Vegas Star Trek convention, the Orville cast was there. That's how beloved the Orville is with sci-fi audiences, that they've taken in the Trekkies, you guys. Trekkies are now Orvillians, many of them. Not all of them. Some of them aren't even Trekkies anymore. They're complainers. But anyway, the Orville was there. the cast was not allowed to talk about anything future Orville. They could talk about the past. They can talk about their personal lives, their interests. They can have fun with each other. But there was a lot of times where people asked about a new season of the Orville, or even someone asked Scott Grimes to do an impression of Steve from American Dad, and he couldn't do it. He wasn't allowed to do it. He goes, I'll do it live personally for you, but I can't do it here on stage because the Orville and American Dad are struck work. They're struck. It sounds weird, doesn't it? But there's just the phrase "struck" sounds weird. Sounds like I'm using the word wrong. But those are struck work because there's more coming. So they're not allowed to. They weren't allowed to answer anything about any future projects at all because everything is struck work right now when it comes to new seasons. But they were able to have talk about the past. Mostly talk about themselves, their own interests. Jay Lee has a concert coming up because he's a pianist. I went to his last show. It was great. He's got another show coming up. He's doing a second show this weekend, I believe. I'm assuming it's in the same location, but I don't know. I didn't look it up because I knew I couldn't go. And they're almost sold out, actually. I think he said he's got a couple more tickets left for Sunday. He's doing Saturday and Sunday, just like he did last time. But it's a great show. You want to see, you want to meet Jay Lee and you want to see him play piano. And there's probably going to be a lot of actors that you recognize there. There was when I went, and there was, let's see, Howard Berger, who does all the makeup for the Orville, who created the Mocklins. He was there, so I talked to him. Penny Johnson-Gerald was there. I talked to him. Hung out with Jay Lee's family for a little bit, a couple times. Ann Winters was there. Talked to her. And there was a bunch of other famous people, but I don't think from the Orville. Well, maybe the crew of the Orville, like the production crew. But yeah, it was a great time. He's a very talented piano player. If anyone's able to make it, go to Jay Lee's Twitter, or probably not Facebook because you have to become his friend. But Twitter, you can check him out. I'm sure he's got links if you want to buy a ticket. I already know a bunch of people are already going. That's what we need, a Seth Trek convention. I already got it started right over here, Seth Trek. And the new gold Seth Trek logo is available right now. I think it's underneath this video. You can see the Seth Trek shirts, the new gold shirts, and the new hat. Yes, we finally have a Seth Trek hat. And more designs coming soon, you guys. See no mention of IPs and studios. But I do know they were talking a lot about their personal lives, which is really what a lot of us, I mean, not all of us, but a lot of us just want to know these people. They're great, fun people. So, tell me your childhood stories. You can't talk about what's going on with Gordon. That's okay. What's going on with you? Archimedes Frey, here's an odd twist. Can they promote like a soundtrack linked to a show or the book or comics since they aren't filmed things? That I do not know. I think during the last strike, books, like you were able to record, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe you were able to record audio for, like, you could do narration work last time. I don't even know about this time. That was a long time ago, the last strike. Soundtrack, I don't know, because the soundtrack is probably owned by the studio. So if you sell soundtracks, you're helping the studio. Well, if you sell a book linked to the show, like Sympathy for the Devil, available on Audible right now, from the Orville, a lost episode from season 3 that they turned into a book because they couldn't film it because they weren't allowed to travel abroad to film it. Don't know. Because there's a lot of stuff they're not allowed to sing, they're not allowed to dance. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I don't know, audio. Possibly. Yeah, Seth is doing a concert on Vibrato Bar and Grill on Friday. Yeah, that's I mean that would be fine because that's his own personal music career. Music artists are not prohibited from doing anything except for filming, but you could perform. Can't make a music video probably, but you could go perform a concert. Sam Easton, unfortunately, I got COVID from the convention. Oh no. So there's no trips to LA for me this weekend, but totally I'd go. Well, hopefully Jay Lee starts doing more concerts. Seth, I'm sure, will keep doing concerts, so you might be able to see one of his shows eventually. I was fortunate enough to see Seth perform 2 songs on stage when I went to the Orville IMAX premiere, the Orville season 3 premiere that he invited me to. We were chatting, and then he went up and sang 2 songs. I was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to get to see that too. So it was a treat. I bet you he does that a lot. Anytime he throws something, I'm sure he's got an opportunity to go up on stage and sing something. Yeah, Scott likes to sing as well, you guys. Scott, I've never been able to hear sing live. I've met him. We hung out a little bit at the premiere. Super nice dude. But yeah, he wasn't singing. That I don't know. And that I'm wondering about. Philip Gaming says, do you know if or when we're getting season 3 of the Orville on Blu-ray/DVD? Need to complete the setup. That I don't know. I would assume that at some point the Orville, well, I think it would come out on Blu-ray because the new season is in HD. So at least give us, I mean, I don't know if it was filmed like in 8K, but it was rendered down to HD. So I don't know what they have available to put on the Blu-ray. I don't know if we'll get 4K or not, but we'll at least get HD. And the first 2 seasons of the Orville have still not come out on Blu-ray. Now that's up to Fox. Fox isn't big on DVDs, even though they came out with DVDs. Oh no, they're not big on Blu-rays. They do DVDs. They don't really do Blu-rays very often. So the first 2 seasons of the Orville are available on DVD, but not on Blu-ray. But at least, some people don't care about that, so they got what they want. But you would think they would come out with at least a full 3-season Blu-ray for the Orville at some point, but there's been no news as of yet. Even the latest soundtrack, I believe, only came out digitally. I don't think they came out with CDs, or I would love vinyl. That'd be awesome. I don't even have a record player, but I would still love vinyl. I'll put that on the wall. But you can listen to the Orville season 3 soundtrack, actually all 3 soundtracks, on Spotify, and I'm sure on other digital music players. Kroom says, fingers crossed for physical media on season 3. Would also get money in for these networks, so you'd think they would release it. Yeah, I guess get that money going. That's what the networks want. They want that money. I say the networks would need to smarten up and stop giving so much damn money to the executives. Give them a good amount of money. They're up there as far as their job goes. Don't know what they do, but they're up there. Give them some money, but why give them so damn much? Nobody needs to make that much money. Put it back into the work. Pay your crew something, but some dude that sits at a desk, you don't need all that money. You can still give him half of that money and still be making too much money and have a lot of money. Archimage says, if they're trying to drive actors out of their homes, I can imagine they will release a physical release where current contracts probably pay residuals. Yeah, there's got to be some residuals coming up in these contracts. That's what actors have had for decades and decades and decades. They'll make a show. Show goes into simulcast, it gets reruns, and they make a little bit of money off of that. And, just a little bit, and then with each play, it adds up. Which with every area that they're simulcast in, and it turns into an okay amount of money to pay some bills when they're not able to work because their show is done. I'm sure that's coming. Because, they're not getting residuals. The cast of Stranger Things isn't making any money off all the people watching Stranger Things right now. The Best of Seth, brought to you by JP, the number one fan. The number one fan. I'm the number one fan. Have I proven it yet? Haven't I proven that I'm the number one fan of the Orville? Are we all the number one fan together? I'm going to go back to Sam Easton again. Sorry that you got COVID going to the convention. Man, what a letdown. You went there to have fun, to be a part of a thing, to show your support, and you got sick because somebody was spreading that COVID around. I kind of washed over that before I wanted to go back. Oh, Kroom says, what happens if they did accidentally say something? Slap on the wrist, 5 minutes in the corner of the room. Hopefully not the P corner. Probably just oh, you messed up there. Oh, I'm sorry. Try not to let it happen again. Well, I'm sure it's just a verbal. Didn't Peter Macon also sing at the convention? Because of course, Bort is sang a couple times on season 3. He sang a couple songs on the Topa episode, and he sang a little bit of some Elvis songs in the finale. Season finale. Some people try to say series finale. I'm like, nah, season finale. There's more Orville coming. Yeah, we are all the number one fan. That's right. Together, we all make one number one fan. We're all a piece. We're like a megazord. Sam Easton says, thanks, everyone. Sitting pretty in bed with tissue boxes around. I hugged Mark and Doug, so I hope they don't get sick. Well, if they do, I'll know about it. I'll let them know that you gave it to them. But maybe they gave it to you. Disney doesn't release streamed shows on DVD. It was not on the table. Man, Eric, I wonder what's going to happen with that. Maybe they'll put the Orville out in one of them puffy cases. Remember, Disney sometimes comes up with the little puffy cases, special editions. Maybe we'll get a puffy case Orville disc set. Eric Pullman says, in that scene where the torturer had Topa, I wanted Bortus to slow-mo shutting the door behind Kelly and going Tarantino on that guy. He went a tiny bit Tarantino. He went a Taratini on that guy. I think he busted out his other eye, so now the guy has no eyes, but he didn't kill him. But you wanted that looking back on the track for a little green bag. Got to find just the kind, or I'm losing my mind. Outside in the day. Outside in the night. Outside in the day. Hey, looking back on the track. Gonna do it my way. Look back. Do 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 do. You know, I know some Tarantino, you guys. What's one artist, Archimage says, what's one artist you would love to influence an entire planet, species, etc. in the future, like Dolly? I think Seth is gonna do it. I keep getting more and more impressed with Seth MacFarlane. But you want that person you don't expect, right? Who's that girl? I know her name, but I can't remember right now. Kimmy Schmidt, the actor that plays Kimmy Schmidt. She's awesome enough. I think she can all of a sudden come out of the woodworks 30 years from now and just influence people, make people want to be better. Either that or it might be Barbie. Where Barbie already did it. Barbie's back. I saw that Barbie movie. I thought it was very well written. Very well written movie. I was surprised. I thought it would be a little bit more shallow, but it wasn't. Oh, thanks, Roberta. Roberta says, doing great. Thank you to Don Ranger Power. Such a great community on here. I'm thinking about coming up with a schedule for these live streams twice a week, because I'm always trying to come up with a schedule, because I'm always trying to work. Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and I'm trying to make it all around, not just YouTube crap, you know. I'm out there on the streets trying to do stuff as well. And now I don't know how long this is going to be, and I'm happy to do it. But now I have the new Egomobile that I got a couple months ago, because the old Egomobile crapped out, and I was able to put with the help of people, I was able to put down a down payment on a car. So now I have to make a big old car payment every month, and man, is that tough. But just last week, my wife's car, she has an old car as well, crapped out. The transmission crapped out. So I am now in charge of taking her to work every morning and picking her up in the evening. So I'm doing that as well now too. But I'm thinking of doing a live schedule twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays this time, because this time works for me. Because I can do a bunch of work in the morning and then come home, do a live show and some YouTube stuff, get some of that squared away, and then I can make it back and pick up the wife from work. We might be able to get her car fixed. We'll have to see. Turns out her brother is a transmission specialist, so he's going to come look at it and see if it's fixable. And so maybe it'll be fixed, and then I won't have to do that anymore. Then what am I going to do? Oh, I'll have to get I'll get a third job. I got time. Ellie Kemper, that is her name. And I just saw her in a movie on, I believe, Netflix. I think. Something Happiness. She's going on a big old hike trying to find herself or whatever, but it's with a group. It's a comedy. It's a romantic comedy. It was pretty good. I watched that with her. She got to play a little bit more, even though she's still very funny. A little bit more of a real character, not a Kimmy Schmidt type. So that was nice to see. Don't remember what it's called. Something Happiness. I don't know. Something Happiness or something. Anyway, check it out. It was pretty good. If you like that sort of thing. TK Skagen, what's up? TK says, I really miss being able to watch new episodes of the Orville on nationally syndicated television. I don't miss that at all, because I don't have nationally syndicated television. I haven't in 14 years, but I get it. Of course. I liked watching it on I watched it on Hulu, because I've had Hulu for a decade, and I've always loved Hulu. And I actually prefer the visual, the stream quality on Hulu over Disney Plus. But I watched it on Hulu, and I love the fact that because of Hulu, we got not only episodes that they didn't have to cut anything out, but there were much longer episodes. They didn't have to fit a 48-minute time slot. They were able to tell full stories. So even though New Horizons was only 10 episodes, it had the same running time as season 2, which was 14 episodes. I love being able to get more of Seth's vision, but I get it. Being able to, hell, you can even use an antenna and watch. If you have good reception in your area, you can watch really great primetime television in HD, better HD than having a cable box, uncompressed. So I get it. For me, I'm a streamer, even though I'm getting mad at these streaming companies. You can't have every damn streaming company there is. There used to be 2, then 3, and most people didn't even use the third one. The third one being Amazon. and nobody used it because they just wanted the free shipping, and Amazon had crap to watch back in the day. They got stuff to watch now. I still hardly watch it, but every once in a while a movie will come up or show that I'm like, oh, okay, boom, let's watch that. But really, I forget that I have Amazon Prime, but I do. Happiness for Beginners, Don Ranger Power says. Yeah, the Ellie Kemper movie that I saw on Netflix, brand new, Happiness for Beginners. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun, okay movie. Brian Dawkins watched The Orville on Google Play. Now, also, The Orville Season 3, well, all 3 seasons are available on Amazon Prime Movies. You can buy the whole seasons for people that want to do that. I have it because I want to support the show. So I've had the first 2 seasons for years, and then I bought the 3rd season, I don't know, a couple months ago. I got to keep track of times because I do have to leave at some point and go pick up the wife from work. I don't want to be late. William Antico, what's up? JP, see if you can make it to GalaxyCon next year. It's held in Raleigh, North Carolina at the end of July. Maybe you can get Seth MacFarlane to be a guest there. Maybe some other Orville actors too. Probably some other Orville actors might already be planning on going. Seth is a tough get. Not only because he's busy, you can get him for some LA stuff, some Southern California stuff, but the dude does not like to travel. He was via airplane, especially because he was supposed to be on one of the planes that struck the towers on 9/11. He missed his flight, and that flight crashed into the tower, one of the towers. I don't remember which flight it was. So the dude doesn't like to travel very much, just every once in a while. But you never know. I would love to go to like GalaxyCon. But I bet you some Orville, the rest of the cast will probably show up. Archmage Frey, I miss the days of a new episode being broadcast. It was much more of an event than it ever is on streaming. Yeah, those days are over. But remember, I do remember that. And things were an event. There was less things. Even though there was too many things back then, there was way less things than there are now. Lost. God, tuning into a new episode of Lost every week was one of the last water cooler shows, I think. That was one of the last events. A TV show was an event. Everybody was watching it. Everybody was talking about it the next day. You talked to strangers about Lost. And I don't remember. And now everything's been streaming. There's so many shows that everybody's watching different shows now. So if you're watching The Mandalorian, you'll meet someone that's watching The Mandalorian, but they've only seen the first season, so you can't really talk about it. And this just goes on and on. Some people are watching, a Marvel show. Someone's watching Grey's Anatomy. No one's watching the same stuff anymore. That's why you find these little communities like this one, where we're all watching the Orville. We're all loving the Orville. But there's tons of people that haven't even seen it yet. Even though, like I've said, I've been noticing more and more every day, and this is still true. I still see every single day, including this morning, someone that just discovered the Orville and they want to talk about it. Our numbers are growing every single day. Imagine by the time a new season of the Orville arrives, how many fans they're going to have by then, because people are still getting caught up, still discovering it. They heard about it, didn't sound interesting, but then they decided to give it a try and they're like, wow, why did I sleep on this? Yeah, Halston doesn't do conventions. She's not part of the modern cast of the Orville. She's not part of the current cast, so she probably doesn't get invited for that. Plus, I don't know her situation. Maybe she's not into it. Maybe she is, and she's not getting invited, or maybe she's not into it. But also, I know she's trying to do other work. Brian Dawkins says, I'm glad that Isaac made an honest woman of Claire. Oh boy, didn't he? he saw Bortus and Clyden having their marriage renewal ceremony, getting all, doing it in the woods type thing. Chase me, ha ha ha. Oh, I will chase you, Clyden. Catch me. That that really got Isaac started thinking about that, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna propose to the woman that I'm with. Because she's pretty awesome. Thank you so much, Chris Ray. Finally read the Orville comics. Highly recommend. The Orville comics are so good. They are legit Orville stories. They're considered soft canon. Written by David A. Goodman, who's a legit writer for the Orville. He writes episodes every single season, and he's an executive producer. So he knows what he's doing. And the stories are they did things in these books that they wouldn't be able to do live action. Too much effects, but they work in the comic book world. Great stuff going on. You'll learn things about the crew. You'll learn things about some of the things that happen in episodes that you've seen, and you get a little bit more backstory. Did you guys know that? What's his face? Cassius, the guy that Kelly was dating at the beginning of season 2. Cassius, I think it's Cassius, not Cassius. Cassius. He gets killed in the alternate timeline. In the alternate timeline, the Kelly timeline, Kelly, Cassius, whoever else was on the ship with her, maybe Dr. Finn was there. I can't remember. Maybe Tala was part of her crew at that point. They go to get some supplies or something like that. The Kalon attack, and they kill Cassius right there in front of your face. And Kelly just has to leave him behind and go and escape. You find out stuff like that. You find out about Topa aging very quickly in the comic books. And everyone was surprised by that. Well, the Mocklins weren't surprised, but the human crew were very surprised. Bortus and Clyden go to Claire because they want to, or maybe it was Kelly. I forget who they go to, but they want to enroll Topa in school. But they don't realize that Topa's like an 8-year-old kid at that point. To them, they think Topa's still like 3 months old. But at 3 months, Topa was the equivalent of like a 7 or 8-year-old. You find out all kinds of stuff. So I highly recommend the comic books, you guys. First 2 episodes of Only Murders in the Building are on Hulu now. Okay, you see Hulu with their big shows, not all their shows, but some of their bigger shows. They're putting out, an episode. Well, they usually put out 1 or 2 episodes that first time. Not always. The Orville, they didn't do that. But then they're putting out a new episode every week, which is really smart, especially during the strikes, because they're going to all be running out of shows very soon. All these streaming services. So I still see some streaming services putting out full seasons of a new show out on the first day. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. You guys need to divvy your stuff out because you're going to be running out of shows. You need to be putting every one of your shows out 1 episode a week. First off, we've all been trained on that. We all grew up with that. Everybody knows what that is okay with that for the most part, because they don't realize anything. That's just what they grew up with. They're used to it. Those great certain shows coming out all at once, but you're running out of shows, so you're going to have to start putting everything out. This is free advice to you streaming services. Put all your shows out 1 episode at a time, at least during the strikes. 1 episode a week. Yeah, Matthew Longstaff says Tala got a comic story to herself. She did. It was called Heroes, and you get to see Tala become a hero, literally, on a planet of what looks like Salayans. So she's able to blend in, but they're not Salayans. They're like cousins of Salayans. Like the Romulans and the Vulcans, that type of thing. And the Remans. But we won't go into the Remans. But they're a planet of Salayans, but they're not. They're from this planet. And none of them have super strength or anything like that because the planet has regular gravity. So they look like Salayans. They have that heritage. They don't know they have that heritage, but they do. But they don't have any superpowers. But Tala does. Good story. Dan Crane, how's it going? Hail, JP, and all the Orvillians. That's all of us. We're almost all here. Cheesy Knobs has been enjoying Strange New Worlds, as have I. People have liked Strange New Worlds since it premiered. Season 2 is way different. It's way more ensemble, which I enjoy even more. And they're going, out of the box a little bit more, which I enjoy because I'm tired of things in the box. I grew up with everything in the box. So I'm really enjoying things going out of the box. They did the musical episode, which you would think would be like, that's not going to work, but it totally worked. They made it work within the confines of the Star Trek universe. Got to watch out for them subspace folds, you guys. They can have some wacky things happen. Totally worked. The Klingon part was a little weird, but God, forgivable. The rest of the episode worked. So the little Klingon faux pas, which was weird, still fun, but a little weird, totally forgivable from my point of view, because I enjoyed the rest of it. I don't think I'll ever go back and watch it. The songs were long. They were fun, but they were long. But I enjoyed it as a one-time thing. I'm looking forward to see what they do with the season 2 finale, coming up in about 2 days. Really like that episode with the doctor. What's his name? Mabenga? I can't remember how to say his name. Him and Nurse Chapel. The week before this episode. Cloaks of War. I don't know. Something with cloaks and war. That was a good episode. It had a real moral dilemma and ethical questions going on. I'm like, okay, good for you. Strange New Worlds, getting into the moral and the ethics of what's right, what's wrong, and leaving it ambiguous for the rest to decide. The Orville does that so well. They give you a situation. They hold up a mirror to society. They ask questions. They don't give you the answer. They let you decide. They give the information mostly from both sides pretty damn evenly, and let you figure out what you want to do with that information. John Gill, welcome. Yeah, AI. I could see AI demanding rights. I mean, that's what the Kalon did. The Kalon are artificial intelligence, and they demanded their rights. And when they weren't given their rights, they said, you know what? We're going to take away everybody's rights that's not artificial. And then they tried to do it galaxy-wide. Dan Crane says, JP, would you be interested in being a guest on PJ, Orville Nation's channel? Always. I've been on there before. I like PJ. I like chatting with PJ. I'm sure we'll make that happen at some point again. Tepo Topu, did they release anything new? Nothing official. It really seems like we're going to be getting some more Orville, and they're going to be making a big announcement once the strikes are over. Right now, they are saying, well, you're not allowed to really announce anything during the strikes, but the Orville's like, we're not announcing anything until the strikes, but they got something. They got some news for us. I think it's good news. But we have to wait until both Hollywood strikes are over, the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA actors strike. And they both have to be over. We learned with the story today about the WGA, the Writers Guild strike, that even if they get everything settled with the Hollywood execs, they're still not going to cross picket lines while the actors are on strike. So even if the actors are on strike, the writers won't go back to work, even if they got a deal, even if they got the deal they wanted. But it looks like we're getting some more Orville. Just nothing official. Unofficially, we're getting more Orville. Yeah, the Klingons were cringy, but they were funny, William. I did laugh out loud when the Klingons started doing their part of the song, the finale song. I was like, oh, that's weird. but it is funny and I get it. And then it was over before he even had time to think about it. I think their part of the song didn't quite fit the main song, but it was fun. And there's a lot of people online going, "Oh, this is horrible. This is not allowed." I'm like, well, I don't put my own rules on other people's productions, so I don't have no rules for Star Trek. Just entertain me and give me some good questions to ask myself sometimes. But they were just having a fun one, and they had a space reason why it was happening, so it all worked out. And I'm like, I'll just have fun with this one. I mean, it's not as atrocious as when Captain Kirk was acting like a cat, but it was weird. It was a little weird. Dan Crane says, I know PJ would enjoy having you on. I will email you about arranging a future show with you and PJ. Sounds great, Dan. I always love being on PJ's show. Curtis Tate, I am amazed that I liked the musical episode. It reminded me of The Naked Time for some reason. Yeah, it was just fun. My whole thing was, and I said this before I saw it, and I put this online, I was like, I hope they have a reason for it. If they have a reason for it, I'm probably going to go along with it and enjoy the ride. And they had a reason for it. They had a spacey reason. I would say I believed that reason more than, even though I enjoyed the Lower Decks crossover. I'm like, well, that's a little weirder. You're going to a whole animated world, but they're having fun with it. I really enjoyed that crossover as that crossover. But the music one, they had a reason to, and it's the same reason that I said back before season 3 came out. If they ever did an Orville musical episode, they should have a reason for it. And basically, the reason I came up with for the Orville to do it is the reason that Strange New Worlds came up with it. The Orville apparently is never going to do a musical episode. David A. Goodman is dead set against it. But Star Trek did it, and they used that reason that I came up with. I mean, I don't think they stole anything from me, but it's the most likely reason something like that would happen. Yeah. Now the Orville's got plenty of singing in it, but not a full musical episode, which is strange because Seth is so into musicals. He's so into it. And they didn't do it. And I don't think they're ever going to do it. But yeah, Strange New Worlds did it. Strange New Worlds been experimenting, which I appreciate the experimentation. Now, I do think it would be weird if the Picard season 3 had a musical episode. I don't think that would go over well. But Strange New Worlds, it's kind of goofy, fun, 60s fun that they're trying to have with the show in a new way. I mean, the original series had some musical episodes. They had Uhura singing a few songs in that series. Andrew says, the show I watch on Hulu is a Canadian series, Letterkenny. Yeah, I've watched a little bit of Letterkenny. Released 6 episodes for every new season at once and released the 7th holiday episode separately. Yeah, they Canadian shows, I think, probably use a little bit of the same format as the UK, as the BBC. For a lot of the shows, we'll put out like 6 episodes and always holiday specials. The UK is very into their, the BBC is very into their Christmas specials. A lot of shows will put out a special episode on Christmas Day. It's a big thing. Doctor Who has always done that. Well, mostly always done that. And even The Office had a special. A lot of British shows have those specials. But yeah, their seasons are usually very short, and they go on for about 40 or 50 years. That's a joke. Well, not fully a joke. Some shows do go on 40 or 50 years on the BBC. And doesn't Letterkenny also have an animated version as well? Kroom says, I like the Star Trek and song spoof video on that. Plenty of comedy episodes in the past. Could the Orville do a musical? They could. I think Strange New Worlds already took the best reason as far as like the context of why they were singing. I think they already used the best reason that you can use and have it be believable. If the Orville did it, I would want them to use that same reason because I don't think anything else would really work. Well, there's one other thing that would work. They need to negotiate with a planet of people that sing everything. They communicate through singing, and they have to practice and do some singing in order to communicate with these people. But full musical, no, I don't think the Orville could do it. Well, they could, but it'd be considered a ripoff, I think, at this point. Damn you, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Why do your new worlds have to be so strange? Plus, David A. Goodman really is dead set against. I mean, he even said it at a con for season 2. Says, we will never, ever do a musical episode. I know Scott Grimes wants to do one, though. John Gill, my rules is that I decide what I watch. And I don't like Strange New Worlds. I don't watch it. I have no power over it or anyone into it. So if people love it, I don't care. Yeah, see, that's a good one. I do that too. If I'm not into something, I just don't watch it. And I don't watch something I'm not into because I'm not into it and I want more reasons to be angry. So that's good. I do that too. There's things that I'm not into. I just don't watch them and I don't care about them. But if other people like it, that's fine. Like some people were commenting because I just put up on the community page here, you know, the latest with the Orville being number 8 for 6 or 7 days in a row. But the Kardashian show is above it. It's like number 7. That's a newer show. And it's the Kardashians. And so some people are like, I don't get how the Kardashians are above the Orville. I'm like, well, the Orville used to be higher than that, but there's different people. There's different types of people with different types of interest. And right now that's a newer show, so it's getting a lot of eyeballs on it. I never want to watch it. I'm going to watch the Orville, but you know, different strokes for different folks. So it doesn't bother me. Some people like caviar. I don't ever want to try caviar. All right, I have to get this right. The Numis Maniac. I hope I said that right. Or Numb is Maniac. Numis Maniac. You caught my attention when you mentioned Orville. What an amazing show. Yes, it is. I agree with you. We are now best friends. The Numis Maniac. The Orville is an amazing show. Not everyone gets it, but a lot of people do get it. Hey, Smoke. There's Smoke, you guys. The creator and star of A Planetary Step, the official, well, I guess not official from the show, but the official fan series for the Orville. A Planetary Step, but do A Planetary Step the musical. I like it. Kroom is a V big thing here. Also, a series ending. The Office extras. Oh, The Office and extras. I'm all about the British. Well, extras is British. The Office, you got. I love the American Office. I love the British Office. But extras, and all Ricky Gervais stuff. I'm big on that. But V, I think a lot of people here were a big fan of the show V. Unless you're talking about a different show. Brian Dawkins, it's true. Last of Summer Wine started in 1973 and ran 31 years. Red Dwarf still comes out with brand new seasons, and that show's been around for 30 or 40 years at this point. When did that come out? Like 89, 91, something like that. I used to watch it on PBS back in the early 90s. All of a sudden, this show, Red Dwarf, would come on. I'm like, what is this? Why am I watching PBS? This ain't Sesame Street. And they still come out with seasons. Not every single year. Sometimes they'll do consecutive years, but usually just every few years they'll come out with a new season, usually 6 episodes. Archmage Frey, if the Orville connected to the same quantum musical dimension, it could unofficially place the Orville within the same multiverse as Trek. I think Trek could go to any universe now since they went to the animated universe, but they had a crossover with the animated universe. I think Star Trek could go to any universe now. At least in whatever universe Strange New Worlds takes place. Because that's not the same Star Trek universe that we've known from 1967, the 90s, and a little bit of the early 2000s. Roberta Laverty says they do every year on the BBC. They do like the specials. It's great to have specials over Christmas. Viewing highlight of the year. The other channels have them too. ITV, Channel 4, and Channel 5 too. Yes, and I'm sure they got that all from the BBC because it's so popular on the BBC. The other channels are going to do it as well, right? Not a thing here in the United States. Usually, holidays is when you get nothing new. You get little specials, Disney on Ice or something like that. But shows don't have a special holiday episode. And I think it's a real bummer that they don't. I love holiday episodes of things. Sitcoms, my whole life, sitcoms have always had the Halloween episode, Thanksgiving episode, and a Christmas episode. And then every once in a while you might get a New Year's Day episode or something like that. Not on those days, just within the seasons of those shows. Was 1987, you talking about Red Dwarf, the same year that TNG started? Man, who's the trendsetter? TNG or RD? Oh yeah, there's actually more. I think there's more versions of The Office than just 3. I think at one point, almost every country that makes shows tried to do a season of The Office. They all use that same first script. That same first script. But that's why Ricky Gervais makes a lot of money, because he makes money from every one of those shows. The American one did really well. I don't care that much for the final 2 seasons, but the first 7 seasons are solid AF. I watched the Indian one. Well, I didn't watch all of it, but I watched at least 3 or 4 episodes of the Indian one. And I actually really enjoyed it. But you had to do subtitles, so I got tired of reading. Wouldn't watch something else. The Indian Office, I think, is available on Netflix, maybe. I can't remember exactly where. Plus, who knows where anything is. You see all these shows being sold to different streaming services at different times. So shows are jumping to all these different streaming services. Another problem with streaming services. John Gill says, I love the German one because the lead actor is hilarious, but I don't think it was ever exported to the English speaking world, which is a shame. Yeah, it's tough. We don't really export anything TV show wise into the United States unless it was filmed in English. So sometimes you'll see some English shows, not a lot. You have to usually watch a special channel or something like that. But yeah, we don't do voiceovers over here. But now you can get some of that stuff with streaming, especially on Netflix. They're all about it. They just released one show that came out a couple of weeks ago. They released it in 4 different languages. So you'll see the thing on your queue, or not queue, but on your home screen. You'll see the same movie 4 times, but each one is in a different language. By different language, it just means overdubbed, I'm sure. The German version of The Office is just a documentary about an office. German humor is not a laughing matter. It's just about an office. They could have called it An Office. Yeah, Newman's Maniac says, I remember when Scott Bakula's Enterprise came out and it totally threw off the chronology. Yeah, it brought you back into the future. And technology looked way better, even though it was but it looked just like the stuff that we had nowadays, flat screens and things like that. They tried. They had, the crew was wearing jumpsuits. They looked a little bit more like a submarine, but everything still looked better because it was an HD widescreen for the T'Pol fans out there. And had special boobies being when that show they started rubbing that gelatin on each other. I'm like, okay, now they're just trying too hard. I didn't care for that, but I understood what they were trying to do, and I was like, I don't try to do that with Star Trek. There's other ways to be sexy with Star Trek, and but I guess it didn't work. I guess they didn't get the audience they were looking for. Most of us here love Enterprise. Not all of us. I absolutely love Enterprise. And Enterprise, if you rewatch it, if you saw the original airing of Enterprise, you got one experience. But if you go back and rewatch it, you get a whole new experience and you realize, whoa, this is actually Star Trek. This is legit Star Trek. And it has some great stories, some great moments. The theme song, you might not have liked it the first 2 seasons, but the second season 3 and 4, by that time, if you're watching it air live, you loved the theme song by that point. It just took a couple of years to not be weirded out by it, and it just became a fun thing. But when you go back and rewatch, you love the theme song the whole time, except for season 4. They made a change to the song. It's the same song, but they added other stuff to it. I'm like, you guys are just trying. You're trying to dig yourself out of a hole. But no, Enterprise, love it. I love the rewatch of Enterprise more than I liked. And I liked. Me and my buddy would get together every Sunday and we'd watch the new episode of Enterprise and during the original airing. But I really enjoyed the rewatch. Then you really get it. We got a lot of anime fans here. I'm not really up to date with anime, but we got a lot of fans here. Oh yeah, Numus Maniacs loved he used to be a heavy smoker. I used to be a heavy smoker way back in the day. But they liked the Boris and Clyde in Discovering Cigarettes episode. That was hilarious. I remember that episode when I first watched it. There was a couple of moments in that episode where I scream laughed out loud. I was sitting there by myself in my living room watching it, and I scream laughed like, at least 2 times during that episode. Oh, it's almost time to end the stream, you guys. I got to start getting ready to head out and pick up the lady. And then we got some chores. Well, not chores, but errands to run. Being an adult has errands and chores and things like that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys are adults too, most of you. Oh, I love What We Do in the Shadows. I'm getting caught up with the new season. I watched 2 episodes last night, but I still have like 3 or 4 episodes left available to watch before they finish. And then, of course, some new ones will come out every week. They'll probably do, 10 episodes, I'm guessing. I think that's what they usually do. I see Johnny Daytona. Brian, are you talking about Jackie Daytona? Jackie Daytona. I will defend Jackie Daytona to my grave, or Johnny Daytona. I know I like Jackie Daytona. Very good, sir. Vendetta Wild, how have you been? Greetings, JP. I hope the day finds you well. It has found me well. This ever since I don't know, the last month or so, I've been trying to stay busy. Usually this time of year, I get bored out of my mind with being here in front of the computer, doing stuff, bored out of my mind, and I can't, and I just get sick to my brain. I'm like, I cannot stand to be in front of this computer anymore. So I've been going out every single day. I've been trying to stay busy all day and then come back, go out, do things, come back, do computer stuff for a couple hours, and then get the hell back out. You just got to get away from this computer sometimes. Thanks, Numis Maniac. Numis says it was a pleasure watching your live. I appreciate you stopping by. Katrina loves what we do in the shadows. Yeah, I'm trying to see what Guillermo's up to. Guillermo's got a secret. Hasn't divulged a secret in my viewing yet, but I'll be getting there, I'm sure, tonight. Oh, hold on. Let me see. I got a call here. Got a call. Okay, that's some information I need to look up other information. Awesome. All right, you guys. I've had a great time. We've had a great talk. I think I'm going to be coming back, doing a live show this Thursday. Same Egotastic time, same Egotastic place. I'm going to try to make it a weekly thing. Dan Crane, thank you for signing up to be an official channel member again. 40 months. Dan Crane has been a member, Donkey Hugger, for 40 months. Thanks, JP, for all you do, my friend. Thank you, Dan Crane. I think we'll be back here on Thursday talking about what's going on as we wait for the official news that the Orville is being renewed. I'm getting fucked, getting choked up. Looks like we're getting more Orville, guys. I want to leave you with that thought. More Orville. When? Don't know. Where? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be Disney or Hulu or Peacock or Fox, but I guess we'll find out as soon as these strikes are over. We'll talk about the strikes as well, because that's an ongoing story. It's going to have some updates. Hopefully we'll have some new updates for the next stream, and I'll release some highlights from this stream over the next couple days. But I'll see you guys very soon, and remember, we all do better when we all do better. Love you. Bye-bye.